Welcome everyone to the Delaware Bicycle Council meeting. I'm John Fiore, Bicycle Coordinator for Planning. I help out the council. So I'm going to start off by taking roll of the council members. And then after that, I will go down each guest's name. And you can let me know if you are here just to listen in or if you want to participate in public comment. So I'm going to go down the list of members now. Walt Bryan, Fran Kardaki.
Here.
Excuse me, John. It sounds like somebody's got some background happening.
Oh, okay. If someone could mute, everyone could mute, please. That sound better?
That's good.
Okay. Matt Cochran. Okay. Sheber Hall.
Present.
Okay. Tom Hartley. But you said he's going to be joining later. Scott Hoffman.
Here.
Mike Crumrine. Okay. Marty Lessner.
Yes, here.
Okay. Jackie McDermott.
Here.
Okay. Yvette Morrow.
I'm here.
Thank you. Wendy Plasko.
I'm here.
All right. Mike Tyler. Michael Wagner.
Here.
Are you under Stephanie?
I am. I apologize
Okay.
for that. Yeah.
Okay. I got you. Okay. James Wilson.
Hi.
Hey, James. And Tyler Wright. Okay. Now I'm going to go down the list of guests and Chris Acey.
Here, no comments.
Okay. Paul Moser.
Hello.
Bill Weller.
Hi, no comments.
Okay. Jim Hutchins.
Yeah, I'm here and no comments.
All right. I'm gonna butcher this name, but I'm going to say
Primus.
Brian Primus. Okay, thank you.
Hey, John. Yeah, I have no comments. Thanks.
Okay. All right, Scott, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay, everybody. So welcome and let's have a good meeting. So first item on the agenda is that we have a new council member, Yvette Morrow. Looks like Tom is just now joining us.
Okay.
So welcome, Yvette. I haven't met you personally, and I'm not sure if anyone else has. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you. Happy to be on the council. Yvette Morrow, avid biker for probably 15 years or so now. Member of a local bike club. I am very familiar with James, so I'm hoping to bring some value to the council, and very happy to be here.
So Yvette, what are you representing Newcastle County then, or?
I don't know that it lists that I'm representing any specific area. I don't know that I read that.
John, do you think she's taking Roger Roy's place?
I believe so, based
Okay.
on my conversations. Yeah, I believe that was to fill Roger's spot in Newcastle.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Yvette, and we look forward to working with you. If you have any questions as we go, please just shout out, and maybe you and I should touch base and we can talk about how things go. That would be awesome.
Yes, let's do that.
I've known Yvette for years, and the council is very fortunate indeed that she has decided to join us.
Thank you, James.
Okay, so,
Hey, Scott.
yep.
Sorry about my delayed entry. I think we had a little pre-meeting beforehand with Fran and some others that were on the other web connection. But before I managed to get the other one off, I ran into Walt. Walt
Okay.
Walt cannot find the link to this page. And I am probably the worst one to try and help him get to the right spot, but he's available by phone if anybody would like to volunteer to. He's trying to get to this thing. He can't find the email.
Okay, so I can forward it to him again.
That'd probably be a good thing.
All right, I'm gonna do that right now.
And then maybe ask him to send back to you, John, if he can't get on, and maybe somebody that's like I said, more tech savvy than I am can give him a hand.
Okay.
That was all I had for the moment.
Thank you. So the next meeting item is to discuss the minutes from the last meeting. Does anyone have any proposed changes or revisions to the meeting minutes? Or questions? Sounds like there's none. So could we have a motion to approve the minutes, please? Fran, you're muted.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Seconded. Oh, sorry, James had it.
You got that?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
Next,
still need a vote. Still need a vote.
oh, sorry, guys. Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes from the previous council meeting?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? There you go, John, you're good.
Cool. Thank you.
Did we have anybody from the public that wanted to make comments, John?
We did not.
Okay,
Hey, John, I just wanted to,
Oh,
what
Yes,
about
I got-
John Bear?
looks
Is
like
he
he's
gonna be
not-
here, James?
He was going to be here, but I don't see him on here. I just wanted to mention how excited we are about our big conference tomorrow, and we hope to see lots of folks there. We've got
Does-
like 300 people registered, including from California DOT and cities in Colorado and Montreal, like all kinds of government officials from other states, and even I think we have somebody from some DOT in Israel and another DOT in Iran. So we're going to keep those two apart virtually, but they're gonna be there as well. It's a really amazing, incredible program. In some ways, I'm way more excited about this conference. Because it's online, we can do some things we can't do with our in-person summit, and we've really, I think, maxed that out and really leveraged the online format to do something we couldn't have done with an in-person thing. So that's just all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Hey, James, a quick question. So I can't go to it tomorrow. Will there be like a recording or something?
Yep, all of the sessions will be recorded.
Okay, great.
Thanks. That's all.
So John Bear, everybody did want to make some public comments. He had asked about that earlier in the week. So if he hops on, we'll try to fit that in. It was regarding a sign issue that he wanted to bring up and make us aware of. I don't think there's going to be any action on it, but he just wanted to kind of get it out there so we could start thinking about it. Okay, so first item under new business is nominees for 2022 chair and vice chair. And Fran, this has your name next to it.
Fran, you have to unmute.
Nope, you're muted, Fran.
Sorry,
Yep, there you go.
that time of year again, we need to solicit volunteers or nominations for the 2022 chair and vice chair of the council. Scott, I understand you're willing to serve another year if we have no other nominees.
Yes, I'm volunteering for another year of duty
Okay,
here.
Walt is currently the vice chair. We don't have him on yet. I don't know if he's interested in serving another term. Are there any nominations?
I nominate you, Fran.
No, thank you. I'm doing another cross-country tour this year or next year, so it wouldn't work.
Coward.
Planning to take a little longer than 60 days to do it this time too.
You keep doing these cross-country rides just so you can get out of being an officer.
Sure seems that way.
And then if there are no nominees, if someone wants to nominate to keep the chair and vice chair the same, that's fine. But also just FYI, the nomination will remain open until the February council meeting. So if someone wants to email me a nomination, they can do so in the meantime. So like Fran said, if anybody has any nominations or want to make the recommendation to keep it the same or email me later, that's all up to you.
I make the motion to keep it the same as long as Walt is willing to be vice chair. I mean, as long as he indicates he wants to be vice chair.
So I'll follow with Walt. I'll give him a call and coerce him.
I think he's on now.
Walt is on. You need to unmute, Walt.
All right, I'm
I
here.
don't see him. Oh, there he is.
There he is. And he's got a shirt on. That's a good thing.
Walt, we're soliciting volunteers or nominations for the chair and vice chair for next year. Currently, we don't have any new nominations or for either position, and Scott is willing to volunteer for another year as chair. And our question to you is, are you willing to volunteer for another year as vice chair?
Yes, please. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. So our current nominees then are Scott and Walt for chair and vice chair respectively. And we do have until the February meeting for any other nominations, as John said, to submit them by email to him. And the vote will take place at the February meeting.
Okay.
So do we need a motion, John, for the two nominations, or
No, I think right now
until February?
It's open until till
Okay.
February. And there at the February meeting, nominations will be closed, and then you'll do the voting.
Okay, so then those are our two nominees. And again, if anybody has anybody that they would like to nominate, including themselves, contact John by email prior to the February meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Fran.
You're welcome.
So next item is to vote on the FY 2022 budget. Sheber's going to leave that discussion, but I got a quick question for John first. So John, aren't we in the FY 2022 budget right now?
We are, but I got a late start on getting it out. So,
Okay.
so yeah, that's the reason. It should have been out after the July meeting, but things just happened, and I dropped the ball on it at the previous meeting. So that's why it's so late, unfortunately.
No problem. I just wanted to clarify. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't confused.
Yep.
Yeah, I was confused too. So just quick question. Do we need to look at the budget? Do you want me to share my screen, or is that not necessary?
I have it. So I will bring it up.
Okay, great.
Just let me know if everybody can see it. I have it on my screen. Okay.
Okay, so just quickly at the August council meeting, the council approved Walt, Tom, and myself to serve on this budget working group. And the working group was to accept budget proposals until or through Friday, November 5th. from any council members in order to recommend the budget for this fiscal year, and then approve at this meeting, the December 1st meeting. So there was an opportunity for the council to make recommendations on how the council should allocate spending. However, we did not receive any budget proposals or any recommendations around the budget for this year. So what you see here on the screen is what we are working with. And if there's any questions or anything, I guess we can discuss it. So does anyone have any questions about this budget?
I only have one question.
Okay, well,
How is the Bruce, what was Bruce's last name in Rehoboth? They moved back to Virginia.
Hoffman.
Hoffman. How is that functioning there? Does it have enough money to function as it should, or is it crying for money?
Well, I mean, this is where under the bicycle council budget, the council helps support that program under supplies with the lights and bike parts and supplies. So,
Right.
so
That was my question. I thought that, but I just want to be sure they got enough to operate.
yeah, I mean, this would be enough if the council chooses to approve it. That would that's been the standard. So yeah, wouldn't need any additional.
Okay.
Motion to accept.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I was making a motion.
All right, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the FY 2022 budget as presented?
Aye.
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 And-
Aye.
And I just wanted to add my thanks to Shebra for working on this for us.
Yes, thank you, Sebra.
well, no thanks necessary because we didn't have any any proposals, so I didn't have anything to do. I was prepared, I was ready, but okay, well, good work.
Very good. So what's next, John? Looks like
All right.
FY 2023
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah, this is the projected. DelDOT's going through the process for their budget hearings for 2023. I see a John Baird just popped on my screen, is waiting to, okay. And so planning would just like to know what the council's projected budget is for 23, which basically would be what you see on the screen. So would be the 50K. So everything's going to be the standard, 900 for travel, 30 for the grant, 2 for other services, and then lights and supplies. But I didn't know if anyone had done any research, if there's something in FY23 of some conference that they would be wanting to ask the council if for attending, in which case, if there is any conferences, the registration and hotel and travel would come out of the contractual services, which there would be $2,000 available. So like I said, we're not asking for anything to be approved or voted on. We just want to know if this, 50K is still sufficient for FY23, or if they think something may need to be increased, somewhere.
I just had a
next-
question. If we're talking today about some potential ideas for next year, so where would those activities, like where in the budget would those activities come from?
Like,
So we're talking about the safety thing and we're talking about a video. And both of those things don't cost a lot, but is that in addition to a potential conference, is that coming out of other services as well?
I think tonight is more, this was kind of an idea that I had. And I think it's idea development. So I think it's going to take a couple of meetings for an idea to come into place before we see, and maybe for the first year, as we develop this idea, we're going to develop 2 ideas and maybe pick one. But as we go through the process, maybe we can find an alternative source for funding for year 1. And if we like what we're doing, maybe in year 2, we could then ask for an increase in the budget. But it's just a thought off the cuff.
So John, when is it that you need to know this final number?
well, I think they're getting ready to go through the hearings here quite soon. I don't know when, but this is the standard amount, whether that the council gets at the beginning of every fiscal year.
Right.
That is what
The
you see on the
budget-
screen.
The budget hearings are in January.
Okay. So if there was something that you know of in fiscal year 23 that would increase this, and you would like to get it added to the budget, you know, Pam needs to know by the end of the month, so she can take that into account when the hearings start happening.
Who's Pam, John?
I'm sorry, Pam Steinbach, the director of planning.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And does the number that you present, is that just the total number, or does it have to have all this breakdown?
Nah,
stuff?
just a total. Just a total.
Has anyone heard kind of the pre-state of the state? You know, sometimes you know ahead of time whether, it's gonna be a tight year, or if it's gonna be a normal year, or sometimes you get a hint that there might be a little extra in the budget. And I have no idea. I have no.
There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money, but it's general fund money, which doesn't really arguably have anything to do with this.
There's a lot of COVID money right now, 2-year funding that's going around. So there's pockets of money. We just have to find the right connection to get access to it.
So Shebra, all of the council's money this year, last year, and as far as I can tell, for the entire history of the council has been exclusively from the transportation. You know, it's basically, you can trace it back to the Transportation Trust Fund. So that's the money you're talking about is, you know, COVID dollars and all this other stuff. That's all going through the general fund.
Mhm.
Do you want to put on the table an idea that the council could have some additional funding from the general fund?
I honestly do not know how it works with other departments. I know how it works in DHSS. In January, we have a hearing with all the different divisions, and we, plead our case. We give them a budget, and then we wait for the governor's recommendation, and then we wait for final approval. So that's kind of how it goes. I'm not sure how this COVID funding is working at all. And I don't know how that plays into the hearings. I do know that the governor's office directly is giving grants and things here or there to different councils. So for example, the Council on Food and Farm Policy just got $2 million from the office of the governor. But I really don't know how it flows, how that happens. So
Yeah, and for, oops, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know. It's definitely something worth looking into, but I wouldn't even know who to ask. I just know that there's lots of money, COVID money floating around.
Yeah, and this budget here, the council budget, comes out of planning's operating budget. So it's under the planning operating budget. So that's why, Pam wanted to make sure that this is still sufficient enough. So when she has her hearing, she knows what she's asking for at the budget hearing, since again, this comes out of planning's operating budget. And that's where the Bicycle Council gets their funding through.
So I was just gonna say that we'll talk about it in a little bit, but we did have a bunch of grant applications. We're gonna talk about who were the recommendation to award the 2 of them, but both of those had to be decreased in monies a little bit to get it under the 30,000. So I was just kind of wondering, should we ask for a little bit more budget and be able to allocate that into the grant next year? Should we talk to Pam about that idea?
I mean, if that's something you want to consider, then yeah, she probably needed to know this, yesterday, but definitely by the end of the month, and to see if it can be considered, and if not, then maybe it can be considered in 2024. But the sooner the better, if that's something that you would like to pursue.
Would it be outrageous to ask Pam for a, let's say, $15,000 increase, 10,000 to increase on the grants that we do, and possibly 5,000 for a future special project designed at teaching bike safety?
I think if you had more of a detailed proposal on the bike safety, because I'm sure that's what she's going to be looking for, because, you know, if you don't use that money, you lose it. So
Isn't bike safety money federal money?
So all, what John said was all of this money is coming from the planning's operating budget.
No, there's some federal safety money in there somewhere.
So there's separate, there's federal money, sort of soft money, not through federal highways, but through NHTSA, and that's all going through Office of Highway Safety. And so Jackie McDermott would be the person on this call who could speak to that.
Okay.
So there is a real, like, our 30,000 that's going to the grant this year is not this, you know, that is not buying as much as it did a year ago, and it's not going to buy as much as it's going to buy next year. You know, professional services are going to go up, construction costs are going to continue to go up. So I think at a bare minimum, we could ask for a small increase just due to the fact that things are more expensive in general.
I mean, the bike part, the big infrastructure bill just passed. So, I mean, that's a whole lot of new money that's coming into the transportation world. That money has to get attached to projects. So I think the question here for us, but maybe more importantly for planning, for the director of planning and her team is, does the capacity that the council has developed over the last 3 or 4 years to manage this bicycle grant program, you know, is that seen as valuable? Is that money, you know, obviously we have no, you know, the council manages the program for $0. Like there's zero overhead from a programmatic point of view. Every single one of those $30,000 eventually goes out in contracts with zero overhead for managing the program. So is that a good value for taxpayers? And if it is, maybe, you know, maybe we should put some more money into that program, as a program that has zero overhead.
So last time, so we did ask for an increase, I think
2 years
a year
ago.
or 2 ago, right?
Yeah,
No?
2 years ago.
And that was a 10,000 we asked for,
Yes.
We got it.
and we got it. I don't know. I kind of feel like we should ask for an increase for a lot of different reasons that people mentioned. John, I don't know what is the best way to, I don't know what everybody, like, we could take a vote on that. I don't know if we know the amount.
Typically, I mean, if you decide you want to do that, I mean, I would send you, Scott, a letter on behalf of the entire council. I guess the council would have to vote for you to do that, and send it directly to either Nicole and or Pam with your request. I can send you the letter. I think I still have it, the one that Tom did a couple of years ago. Kind of, if you want it, kind of gives you an example of what was done. But if that's something you want to increase, then it should be a letter from the chair to the Secretary of Transportation, CC Pam, and you know, get that to them, you know, at least by the end of the year.
Yep.
And they'll take it under consideration. And again, and they'll let you know if it's able to be approved or not.
Yep, they can always say no.
But you know,
I don't
you at
think
least know you get the 50.
Right.
And if the increase is not done for 23, then maybe even in your letter you can say if it can't be done for 23, we definitely want it for 24.
Well, one thing we ought to be in that letter is, let's say we ask for an increase of $20,000. why. And the biggest why is safety. We got a super high safety record, or an ill safety record in the state. And nobody on the bond bill committee, I would think, would argue with that.
Yeah, definitely in the letter, it should be very specific, detailed on the reason for the increase.
Right.
You are correct.
I just wanted to add, as a reminder, in I think it was FY20, we gave back $10,000 because we didn't have a need for it or something. I can't remember. I have to look it up. But I think we did that thinking that with COVID, we knew that we might need it later, and so we could remind them that we did give back some money at one point. I don't know if that would be helpful, but it couldn't hurt to just remind them that we did give back money. We were good stewards of our funding.
So the reasons that we have so far is what Shebra just said, that we previously returned money to the budget.
And why?
And there's recognized safety issues that we've been discussing that we think we could help address. That's got a little bit of a tail on it, but I think it's a good thing, as Walt said. There's inflationary costs, and
don't forget about the additional funds that are available for infrastructure, and this innovation grants would help target some of that money.
Yeah. So I think we just need a motion and we can put the letter together.
And just quickly, Scott, on the safety issue, most of the grants that we did not award because we didn't have enough money were safety related.
That's right.
So Scott, I guess it'd be up to the council. I mean, they can just vote to have you prepare the letter without it having to come back to the council for vote. I would assume you would, if you were okay with that, you would at least send a draft out for everyone to look at to make sure they're okay. But
yes, if we have,
since time is of the essence, they may want to just give you the powers and duties to do that. So
Scott, I'd like to go ahead.
Has Peoria got the grants that were not approved because of safety and other things? Have you got that in your files, John?
Well, I've got all the grants in my files, yeah, but I couldn't tell you which ones off the top of my head were.
Well, I'm not expecting you to.
But yeah, but I do have all the grants that were submitted.
That'll give Scott information to put in this letter to the secretary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we decide to do this tonight, I can put together the letter this weekend and send it out to everybody. So everybody at least gets to take a look at it and suggest any comments, and then we can send it over to the secretary and Pam next week.
And Scott, I'd like to add a caveat to that, basically that you send it out on Monday if you can get it written, and that basically it's speak now or forever hold your peace, and people have 24 hours to respond, and if they don't respond, you're moving on.
That's fine.
And so I'd like to make a motion that we approve you to write the letter, and I'd like to request 20 grand with the idea that they're probably not going to give us any more than what we asked for, and they could always give us less, and I think they know that that's a possibility. So I think we ought to increase our budget from 50 to 70 with using a good bit of that for the innovation grants. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we need a vote. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Very good. Thanks, John.
All right, thank you.
Send me the, if you can send over the letter we did last time, I will attempt this weekend to put everything that we talked about just now into words, and then we'll send it out on Monday.
Okay,
Okay, next is a discussion about the 2020 Cycling Innovation Grant led by Mr. Hartley.
And I always like to try and get my camera on, just so you guys can see my ugly mug, but I can't figure out. I keep hitting start video and it won't let me do it. So
Your face
anyhow,
is burned into my memory, Tom.
well, at least they're not catching the glare off my forehead, Scott.
Sorry.
We received 8 grant requests. They were from Bethany, Dover, Ellesmere, Georgetown, Lewis, Millville, Milton, and Newark. I know John attended a bunch of them as far as the site visits. I think James attended quite a few. I know Fran hit a couple. I actually hit, I think, 2 and doubled back and kind of drove the things myself on a couple of the others. We met several times. There were, we kind of boiled it down to 3 possibilities. Newark made a grant for 15,000, or grant request for 15,000, and then we had Georgetown and Lewis that each made grant requests for about 20 grand. We looked at those 3, and for miscellaneous reasons that I won't go into, just for brevity's sake, that those were the 3 front runners, and we kind of came down to the 2 that made the most sense to us were for Georgetown and Lewis. And Lewis actually had something for a trail counter in their request for 20 grand. We didn't see the value in a trail counter. People are using the trails like crazy. I don't know how that provided any additional, so we kind of knocked that out to bring them down to 15,000. And then we went back to Georgetown and Lewis and asked if they could each go down an additional 2,500 to put Georgetown at 17,500 and Lewis at 12,500 for a total of 30 grand. And we kind of are making the recommendation to the council that we approve the 2 grant requests for Georgetown and Lewis. Lewis basically is a loop that runs through town, would kind of complement the Breakwater and Gordon's Pond trails. Is just, you got into Lewis, now what do? You can either go out the Georgetown trail or take a nice little more casual ride around Lewis. And there was a short, very short missing link that connects up the back of 2 neighborhoods that just looks like this could help push that through to just make the town overall a little bit more enjoyable. Georgetown's loop, or Georgetown's request, has to do with a short section that was going to be coincident with other construction going on at the airport, and would give them a little bike route on the south end of town that would go around to a proposed brewery. Actually, I think it's a new brewery, and there's some other retail things, but basically once you get to Georgetown on the trail, once it's complete, this will kind of give you somewhere else to go once you get to Georgetown. So we kind of thought that those 2 worked. And again, the 2 recommendations for splitting the grant is between Georgetown and Lewis for the total of the $30,000. Questions? Was my microphone on?
Yes,
No,
it's
we heard you.
very good. I move we do that.
So just to clarify, the motion would be Georgetown would receive a grant in the amount of 17,500, and Lewis would receive a grant in the amount of 12,500, which totals the $30,000.
And so what, so I don't know that this needs to be part of the motion, but what do we do if one of those says, well, if I cannot receive the full grant amount I requested, I'm not moving forward.
I think, John, you've already checked on with both of
Yep,
them. didn't
I
you?
got verification from both saying that they would be able to make up the funds.
Oh, okay.
I'll second Walt's motion.
Okay, any other questions before we vote? Okay, everyone in favor of moving, advancing Walt and Tom's motion on awarding the 2020 Cycling Innovation Grant to Milton and not Milton,
Georgetown.
Georgetown and Lewis, I'm sorry. All in favor, please.
Aye.
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 Is there anybody opposed? Okay, very good.
All right, I will send out the letters, or I will send out notification to both cities tomorrow.
All right, before we go on to old business, John, like I said at the beginning, John Baer did ask to speak during public comment period, and he has joined since we did that. So are we good to go ahead and allow John to present his information?
Yeah,
All right, great. Floor is yours, John.
Sorry, I had so much trouble getting on. All the contact info, all the access information I had wasn't seeming to working for me. I just really what I want to say is starting with thank you to the DBC for. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes I have, I'm more challenged than other people. It seems like that. Thanks to the DBC in the run up to making permanent the Delaware yield, which happened unanimously in the legislative bodies and signed by the governor, making that law permanent. My next mission along those lines is to start the process of DelDOT taking the bicycle stop sign out of use. So I'd like to make a better presentation or a longer presentation on this at the next meeting in February, but this is kind of to put you on alert. I've had some discussion with both Anthony and James Wilson and John Fiore about this, and it's so I guess really the point is to say it will be on the agenda as long as you allow me to speak. And it's not an urgent burning thing to do, but I think we need some follow-up to the making that law permanent. By the way, I'd like to point out that while Delaware was second after Idaho after a 35-year drought on this, there are now eight states total. 6 have followed Delaware's lead, and there are several more that are working on it. They have been very thankful for the statistic provided by Delaware State Police, basically that was presented to DBC in last spring sometime by Corporal Wright. So that's about it.
So John, what you're asking is to present at the next meeting, so that would be under new business, and the topic would be the conversion.
Replace in most instances of SR 1-16-DE, which is the bicycle stop sign, with SR 1-17-DE, which is the bicycle yield sign, because the stop sign has no meaning except in a few cases.
Okay.
Okay. The ask will be to have DBC send a letter of support of pushing DelDOT to do that, but we'll come back to that next time. Okay.
Okay. I'm just kind of assuming that nobody's opposing John making that presentation, so.
Yeah.
I think we'll be glad to have you, John, unless somebody says otherwise in the meantime, but
Okay,
I don't see that happen. So.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we're on to old business. And the first item is the bicycle route 1 update. And so I've been working on that with some people and not really making any progress. So I had Chris actually was able to contact some people in Newcastle County who are willing to help. So I asked him to kind of take the lead on that. And then when they've got some information together, I'm gonna hop back into it and try to put that together in a format that we've seen before for the Kent and the Sussex County maps, before we move on to the next step. So Chris, is there a news to report on that, or at this time, or are we still, I think I saw an email, but I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
No news yet.
Okay, very good. So John, the next thing is the Bikeway update.
All right. Hold on, just trying to bring it up. Share my screen again. All right, hopefully everyone can see that. Really, only a couple minor updates. As everyone is aware, I sent an email out about it. The phase 8 of the Georgetown and Lewis Trail had the ribbon cutting ceremony on November 19th. So that's another section completed. This one's actually going from the Georgetown Little League Park to Park Avenue. So that phase is now completed. The only other addition to the updates is I just found out today that the Augustine Cutoff Bicycle Improvement Project, DelDOT is moving forward with finalizing the concept plan on this. The city of Wilmington did a feasibility study, which was conducted because of the Delaware Bicycle Grant that was awarded in 2017. However, as part of that, they just did the feasibility study. The public workshop was not held as part of that study. So what DelDOT will do is DelDOT will conduct a public workshop and finalize the concept plans. And so if everything goes to plan, so to speak, we'll have a project here for the Augustine Cutoff bicycle improvements, hopefully very shortly.
So John, what is that? I can't really see the map.
This map is
John, you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, if you want to, Paul.
Yeah, so this is a project that got sent to our section from WMAPCO last year to evaluate for inclusion in the bike ped pool. So it's a pathway or some kind of bicycle improvement. They didn't really tell us, which would connect the pathway which terminates at the Blue Ball properties at sort of the very tippy top of that map.
Hey,
It continues down.
Paul,
Hey, what's
Paul,
up,
is it
Tom? Yeah.
Paul, is it possible to zoom in on the graphic there?
I don't have control of the screen, but John can. So yeah, it's a pathway that would go from the end of the Blue Ball Barn properties down Augustine Cutoff and then connect into sort of the 40 Acres neighborhood near Lovering Avenue, where De La Cour, the best restaurant in Delaware, used to be, but is no longer. So like John said, there was a feasibility study that was done that you guys so lovingly funded, if you remember. But unfortunately, as technicians who work for pay or want to do, sometimes they'll say it's feasible and maybe it's not exactly. They didn't quite cross all their T's and their I's. So we're going back and making sure it's up to snuff for a DelDOT project. There's a little bit of public history in this area that we want to work with a couple of residents to make sure that everyone there is willing to work with us. And we're going to move it hopefully into project development after those public workshops.
I have a quick comment and a question. The comment is for John. John, there's a little thing that says Zoom there in your menu bar. It's a little looks like a little magnifying glass. I think you might be able to click on that and zoom in. There it is, right there. Do they only let you go up to? Yeah, there we go. Just go to like 500% or something. My question, Paul, is it sounds like the work product from the grant that we funded could have been better, maybe. And
Yeah, so
if that's the case,
okay, sorry, go ahead.
is there anything that we could do going forward to try to make sure that, you know, we get a work product out that is what we need, or what you know the next stage of the process needs?
Yeah, that's a great point, and I'd love to have that conversation more with you in the future. When you guys start working with the municipalities to actually get the scopes together, there's probably a couple points that we could make sure in there that are helpful for us if it actually comes to our section, as I imagine a lot of these projects probably will in the future.
So
the biggest issue here was that this project was seen at the get-go as being a little controversial because the Insight building that was built there caused, I think, a lot of what did Bruce Lee call it? Emotional content from the residents. So there was some sense that it was controversial, and Whitman never did a public workshop. So that would have been very helpful, because in my opinion, one of the most helpful things we can have with these projects going in is public anticipation, knowledge, and hopefully support and consensus on these projects. It makes our job way easier when either the county, the municipality, or our favorite nonprofits in the state can get people to really get on board and understand the projects going in. So it's not so much a DelDOT coming in and come into your road, right? It's something that they're aware of and has been part of a planning process, and maybe they're actually interested in.
So so there are two different things here, and I'm trying to understand which one. So there's the you know, there's the political, the workshop, that whole thing, and I hear you saying that shouldn't be shortchanged. But what is there? But there's also kind of the technical side, and is that so? Put the outreach, workshop, political stuff to the side. Was there also kind of a technical
yeah. I mean, refined cost estimates, right? So this gave us like 4 or 5 different typical sections, and it didn't include the most obvious one. I think that feasibility study was kind of danced around to avoid causing any kind of I'm getting a little bit too much in the weeds, right? But I think they could have been a little bit more specific in a concept that they wanted to move forward. They basically gave us something that was amorphous and could range a very large scope of cost, price, and traffic engineering ugliness. So it would be helpful to arrive at a more definitive concept recommendation that's in line with DelDOT programmatic standards, design standards, and kind of just what makes sense on the corridor. And then having quality understandings of cost, like are there real estate impacts, right? Are there going to be stormwater impacts? A lot of these things that are pretty important to evaluate and could lead to huge cost fluctuations were just kind of glossed over to get that. I want to say it was was it a $20,000 feasibility study? Or was it 30?
I can't remember. So my question is there
actually getting those answers costs a lot of money when you're paying a professional like Scott, who has 2 letters after his name. If you actually want to know if you gotta, do closed drainage and run pipes, you actually have to do it. And if you do, what's it gonna cost? It costs a little bit more than $30,000 sometimes to get that answer and to get it straight.
So there's 2 things here. One is the grant program not big enough for exactly the reasons that you're elucidating, and that goes into this discussion we just had about whether we need to be asking for the grant program to be bigger. But the other question is
it's the scope of what you're doing, James, right? Like I think there's some of these projects that you can totally get it for $20,000 or $30,000, but this is a gigantic corridor project, right? Even though you think it's pretty simple, just put a pathway on it. There's like 2 gigantic signals, 1 small signal, and a lot of sort of unique impacts. So this was just one that was probably a little bit, I mean, yeah, it was great to do the initial planning and get people talking about it and show the pictures, and it got everyone thinking like, oh yeah, this is like actually something that's doable. It started the conversation, but it really wasn't really the meat and potatoes that we needed to start doing survey and preliminary plan development.
So I'm sorry
Make
to,
sense?
yeah, so I don't mean to be sort of monopolizing here, but I think this is important. So I do have one more follow-up question on that. So again, we were just talking about whether the grant program could grow. I said one of the reasons for it was that the council had developed some significant capacity to manage the program. But what I'm hearing from you is that there are, you know, different types of potential projects. Some of them are more ambitious than others. You know, just a little pathway in the middle of nowhere in Bridgeville is different than this big corridor in the middle of Wilmington. Do you think the council could, if it had a little more money, could continue to build its capacity to manage this program, for example, to the next time maybe somebody comes to us with this kind of like bigger thing, that we could recognize that this is a more ambitious thing?
Do you want to hear it straight, James?
Yeah.
I think part of what it is you guys are a quasi-political organization, and you're going to be electing these projects that are maybe really awesome and really fantastic, but it's not in the hands of people that actually manage the programs and the roads at Delta. So maybe there's some value in just us coming and picking up the slack on the backside of it, and then actually turning it from, you know, your line on a map into a Delta project.
So I'm just going to throw this in there, James, to one of the things that we started doing that we did this time for the grant review and also for the previous one, and I think John Fiore might have suggested this, or one of the other folks there, was that we did that DelDOT review of all the applications. So that's where, you know, those kind of comments that this is a little bit more complicated than we think, you know what I mean? Like, they must have an idea of what the feasibility costs are going to be to determine those things. So we have kind of addressed that a little bit, that concern, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's a good point. We weren't
I'd
doing that step in 2017 when we gave this grant.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And I think the value that I see in these projects and what you guys are doing can lie in forging consensus knowledge and a little bit of like a cost estimate to give to us. I think that's incredibly valuable, and I think achieves your goal of spotlighting these projects. And it's helpful for us, right? Because if we just get a concept from WMAPCO for this bike ped pool, there's like 200 project concepts in the Newcastle County Bike Plan. And how many do you think people have actually seen outside of those workshops, right? So, and then if we get it, it's like, oh, DelDOT's starting on a project, let's go. It's a lot to take that one tucked away, dusty concept and then turn it into something that we're actually gonna start making plans for. So this process of you guys going ahead of that, doing some public workshops, some consensus building, honing that concept into something, it's actually a definitive project. That's very helpful for us.
Hey, Paul.
Right? But
one more question. So you can pretend, if you don't like this question, you can pretend this is Meet the Press and just dodge it. But I kind of hope that you might be willing to answer it. So again, you've really helpfully underlined that there are some projects like this one that are just a little bit bigger, you know, that are going to take a little bit more money. If we keep this grant program going, if there's a little more money, if it has that review step in it, you know, to really, you know, help us make sure that we know we're not stepping in any holes, do you think the council, you know, has the capacity to, you know, deliver some value on projects that are of this magnitude, you know, where we give larger grants, we include the appropriate requirements on the work product, or is that too ambitious for the Delaware Bicycle Council?
I don't think that's too ambitious, but I think you should temper it with the expectation that we're still probably going to have to go and do another concept study down the road. So it's not like you're sort of being fiscally savvy by getting ahead of these projects and helping out the department. You know, we're probably still going to end up paying just as much money on the other side of it. But the good part of that is that there's been someone who's talked about it and thought about it, and it's been through a couple, engineering and planning design consultants' minds. I think it's helpful.
This is
and we
Marty
can talk-
Lesnar. I just want to chime in a little bit because I commute to work every day and go down the Augustine cutoff every day. And this is not, in my mind, a project that the council needs to go to the mat on. I'm a big supporter of bike paths and and the whatnot, but this is, in my mind, way overbuilt and way expensive. What's really needed here is a connection between Augustine cutoff, the part of Augustine cutoff that comes from Alapocas Road down a little bit to where there's a wide shoulder and currently a bike path. There's already lights. I've ridden this. I've gone out there with the project engineers, and this is just, in my mind, not a project that muscles out other more worthy projects. If there's money to do it, fine. But if this is a choice between
Marty,
other projects,
to rebuff that a little bit, this was the high, and obviously it's a model, right? I'm sure you're familiar with the pitfalls of models, but in our modeling, this is the highest ranking project in Newcastle County because that pathway up at Blue Ball Barn, or you can see it terminate up there, going right into the Trolley Square area, which is a great connected, pretty low stress urban grid, connects, I think Marco Boyce was saying 85,000 to 85,000, right? All the people up in north, off of 202 to Wilmington, 2 huge population centers. And this avoids that really nasty elevation change from doing the North Delaware Greenway. And it's a separated pathway, so it's a different population that we're reaching, a different demographic. I agree, you're fine. This is probably fine for you for the rest of eternity, but trying to think of the population that might be riding a pathway from Blue Ball property down there, that's where we saw the value in it quantitatively and
I appreciate
built in 2 sections of it.
I appreciate you pushing back, and you should. I'm just saying that there is a path right now. It just needs to be connected up to Alapocas Drive. Otherwise,
that's what we're doing, man. Right? Like the Insight already built that pathway at a pretty big expense. It's really not that challenging to get up Alapocas, and then once you're through Alapocas, right? It's like another quarter mile to the pathway with the North Delaware Greenway. So leaving that gap is kind of nonsensical. There's a huge right of way. It's like a 90-foot right of way on that road. So, and also, sorry to monopolize the conversation on this, guys. I didn't mean to make this the Augustine cutoff spotlight hour. But Marty, if you want to talk about this more, feel free to give me a call sometime. I'm more than happy to chat about it.
Sure. I mean, it's a very worthy project, but my impression, and I may be wrong, was that they're doing a lot of other things on there. They're costing money other than connecting up this, 200-yard gap that will have a bike path all the way down Augustine Cutoff Bridge, all the way up to Blue Ball Barn. It's really, we're only talking a very small gap.
Yeah, I don't think we're rebuilding the whole road. The signals might get a little hairy, especially at the end, but there's also another TAP project, a transportation alternative project on Lovering Avenue. So we're going to be combining both of those program funds to hopefully have a nice little project.
I'm sorry that the intersection.
Maybe we should have this conversation offline, because I'd really like to be, I'd like to be educated.
Well, your advice, your advice would be you bike it every day, so very valuable.
All right, Scott, that's all I had for updates.
Thanks, guys. That was I think some good information came out of that discussion in terms of what we're talking about doing and asking for more money for the grant and how we work on the grant. So that was definitely valuable feedback, Paul. Thank you.
I have 2 questions for John.
Okay.
John, one of the listings was for the Cool Springs Road to Fisher Road, and it said on there it was going to start in August of 2021. Has that project got started?
No, it just went out to bid.
Okay.
They'll have bid openings. I think they're going to have bid openings next week, if not like around the 14th or 15th of December, in that range.
So it won't really
So-
get started until next spring, maybe?
Yeah. That's my opinion. Yeah, it wouldn't be probably till spring.
Okay, and do you also have an estimate on when construction might start on that Capital City Trail Phase 3?
Final plans just went out, so I do not have it. I would have to touch base with Jeff Nisgoda, and because we're still working things out on that. So I just don't have that information, but I'll reach out to Jeff.
Okay, great, thanks.
And you're just looking for construction start time, correct?
Yeah, just an estimate of when it might start.
Okay, I'll reach out to Jeff and see what he says.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, John, can I ask a question that's kind of related to Chris's question?
Okay.
So this project that Chris is talking about is I mean, it's part of a larger vision to build the Dover Loop, right?
It's a phase of it. Yes.
I mean, is there some like it's a pretty big thing, like it's a like a Dover, it's like a pretty big vision. It's driving a bunch of projects. It's a cool idea. Shouldn't there like be a map? And shouldn't
I was thinking that same thing, James, because I commute to work and I ride all that stuff all the time. And after you figure out it's all there and how it's all going to connect, it is really awesome. And I never realized that till I moved here. So
there would be people in Dover who are like not really paying attention to what's going on. Maybe they hear something about a phase or a project or something, but like they have no idea it's part of this larger vision to build a loop that goes all the way around Dover. But like if there was a map and some effort to kind of communicate this vision to the public, like there would be people who were excited about it, and that would be good.
Should we be trying, James, to tie into either Del Dot Press or to Bike Delaware to put something out as far as to get it in the newspapers?
If we had a map of the Dover, like a cool map, that really like showed how it kind of connects up things in Dover, maybe not just like a plain old map, but something a little cartoony, what I mean? Like something the News Journal might put out, something simplified. It's easy for people who are not planners and engineers to just quickly see and read and understand.
Paul's a mean man with a map.
I was gonna say, how about those anime characters from Bike at the Beach for Lewis and Rehoboth? Would you like those ones?
That's a little bit, something along those lines. So, anyway, John, do we need like a Delaware Bicycle Council? Do I need to ask the Delaware Bicycle Council to vote to ask local systems to create that map? Is that a big
I
ask?
don't know if we can even create that map. I mean, I'd have to reach out, but I mean, it is on our Kent County bicycle map, but it's not like its own. It's not like there's a Capital City Trail map of its own. We were thinking and discussing this, that when the loop is completed, we would do a map, but not before then. Not saying it can't happen, but I would have to reach out to Jeff to see, if that's possible.
Hey, they start advertising movies 6 months before they ever come out. We could advertise our stuff, and the thing is, we can ride some of it ahead of time.
Yep.
Yeah, just that last section's not going to be completed till I think 20, or even started until like 2024 or 2025.
Well, most people won't want to ride the whole damn thing anyhow. It's too far. It's more than 3 miles, so they'll just want to ride their little piece anyhow.
That's true.
It connects a lot of stuff though, even what's there now. So.
Oh yeah.
Hey, can I ask Paul three real quick questions?
Sure.
So Paul, three. So
Okay.
if I'm on the selection committee next year for the grant, if I were to ask you to come as a technical liaison to help point out some of the stuff, we did get a very nice review from DelDOT. Would you mind sitting in on a meeting or two as we go through the review process?
I defer to Jeff on that one, but
Okay.
just because he's the one who's calling the shots at the end of the day. But if he wants me to be there, then yeah, I'll more than happy to.
And do you see, Paul, I think we kind of touched on the edges of it. I think James talked about it and you brought it up, where some of these the work product that we're getting out of the grant might be a little bit short on some things. Should we be looking at the proposals from the consultant and trying to tailor what product they're going to deliver to the to their customer, the folks that we're giving the grant money to? Should we be trying to look at their proposal or PO to tailor it to what you guys actually need?
I mean, yeah, that'd be helpful to think about us, but it could be the county who's going to build it. It could be DENREC. So I think you guys have to think about what you want to get out of it. And I think some of the value that you guys bring is less technical and more conceptual. But there's times when, yeah, you guys probably could take it pretty close to the finish line if you knew what we needed. So it's more of a case by case and just having to get a feel for what that looks like.
Because right now we're kind of handing them the money and running, and we don't know exactly what work product that they're asking for.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about this more rather than just grind into the minutia on this. I don't want to take up everyone's time.
Right.
But yeah, we can probably provide a little bit of blanket technical advice that would make it more helpful.
And Paul, your insight as far as being sensitive about DelDOT coming in and being the Goliath in the room and telling people that they're going to be putting a bike path through their front yard, and how can you do such a terrible thing? And that everybody's or many people's suggestion is that when DelDOT comes in, that they're going to tell you what to do and they're not going to listen. Is there any cover that we can provide in hosting, or even trying to press on James and Bike Delaware to bring some of these public workshops in, rather than it being presented so much by DelDOT, having it be a somewhat more neutral, less Big Brother thing?
Yeah, what do you do in mid-January?
What's that?
What do you do in mid-January?
Yeah, I'm good for that.
Cool. Let's catch up about that then.
Okay. All right. Very good. That was my three.
Okay. All right, is there anything else on that topic? We got one more thing here to go, and it's potentially a little bit longer, but it's the safety initiative item that we've been talking about. So thanks for everybody for participating in this ahead of time. So this idea kind of originated originally from Mike. Mike, do you want to talk about this a little bit? What you were thinking here in terms of what the goal is?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I think the goal here is we came up with a couple ideas that we'd like to brainstorm on and move on. And one of them is to create a safety video. And our presenter, and Scott, who's our presenter for that?
James is going to facilitate the video discussion. Yes.
So James is going to discuss, and I don't know what questions James has prepared, but we came up a second idea is to try and create, for lack of a better word, more of a bike mobile or a bike trailer where we could go out and possibly take this trailer to whatever, and that'll be discussed during my line of questioning. And the thing is just to kind of, we have a couple of ideas, but let's get some feedback from the experts on this council, and let's get a little bit of talking in and see if at the end of 20 minutes, because trust me, 20 minutes in the chat room will go by real quick. 20 minutes in a breakout room will go by pretty quick. I have 11 questions, and it's either we're going to get through all 11 or we're going to get through 5. But if you guys could be once you hear the question, be concise with your thoughts, because other people may want to add to that. That would be great, but we want to hear from you. And this might take, this might take 2 or 3 meetings, but it will give us the opportunity to kind of move into a different area. I think this council has value. I think that we can accomplish a little bit more if we take some of our meeting time and discuss some kind of simple ideas. If we develop it into a solid idea, then we can go look for the funding. And we even saw that earlier this evening with the discussion about the budget, and this could be another avenue that we do where we become just a little bit more active just by planning some simple ideas. And again, I guess this comes out of, I serve on a variety of different boards, but we've developed a scholarship competition with the organ donor group that I'm with, and and I worked with OHS and we've done a couple scholarship competitions with them. So there are things that we can do as councils and boards that can kind of create some excitement, that can kind of create some that they could become reality if they're planned, and we're not asking for too much. We're not asking for $2 million. We're taking a simple idea that could help keep people safe, help educate people, and help benefit them in the future. So I think I've spoken too long.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So just so everybody knows, I did, and to Mike's point, I did get some feedback yesterday from a couple of council people that were like, this is a really good idea, and thanks for getting it set up. So seems like we got some momentum here. So we are at 6:30, so I don't know that we're going to have time to do the proposal discussion. And Mike said, this might take us a couple shots. So let's go. So we're going to separate to the breakout rooms, and then we'll come back and we'll see how things go. Just so everybody from the public knows, we couldn't set it up so that the public could be involved, because you have to know ahead of time who's going to be in it, but we are going to record it so that everybody can go back and listen to the breakout room discussion after the fact. And then there will likely be a further discussion at the next meeting, so everybody can follow along, that is from the public here tonight. So with that, John, I guess we should, and then Mike's going to facilitate one proposal, and James is going to facilitate the other proposal. Okay, and we have to do a record, right? Todd?
Scott, how do we figure out which room we're in?
You'll go automatically.
Oh, there you go. I like that not thinking thing.
Something will happen. We'll see what happens.
Magic.
Oh, I feel like this is going to be Back to the Future.
Well, nothing's happened yet, so.
I'm waiting for wheels to start spinning.
And then Scott, after you guys are done, everyone comes back, and then if there's enough time, you'll talk about it. But if not, then we'll just defer to February.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that we're probably not going to have enough time to do anything in 10 minutes. So
Yep.
we might as well plan on having the continued discussion in February right now is what I'm thinking.
Okay. So when you guys get back, if there's nothing more to discuss, then we can go through the motions to close the meeting. So.
Awesome.
Okay. I guess I'll see you all in about 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought each breakout group was going to discuss a different project idea. So this is even better. We get to talk about both. So let me just say, I'm on the council, not because I'm some superstar bicyclist. I ride for leisure in low stress paths, and that's about it. That's the extent of my expertise. But my family and I, we bike because it's another way we can be physically active, and we enjoy it. So from Division of Public Health standpoint, and the reason why I'm on the council, I can add to it that I'd like to see more people like me who bike just because they want to have that, opportunity to be physically active. And we only do that if we feel that we're safe. So I think this is important, and I think, it's valid. And I think it's a great idea to start with, or not to start with, but to connect new drivers to making sure that they're driving in a way that everyone is safe. So I think that's important. So I just want to add that.
So should I put over here on the driver education side that Shebra likes this one?
Oh, I like both of them. Again, my point is, I think safety is important and it needs to be addressed because people are not going to bike if they're not safe. And so I want more people to bike. I want more people to feel safe enough to get out on their bikes and be physically active. So that's my perspective, is that it's important to address safety. So with driver education, that's one good way to do that, to work with new drivers. With the driver safety video, I wasn't quite sure what that meant. So it's not that I don't like that one, I just wasn't really sure.
Oh, but I wasn't sure.
Thank you,
exactly.
Todd. Yeah, we do them all the time. John has a trailer, and he loads it up with 30 or more bikes, usually pretty small for elementary schoolers, sometimes bigger ones. And yeah, we do programs like all over the state. They just did one a month ago in Clayton. We even loan the trailer to Newark PD sometimes, or at least that's where we put the trailer. I'm not sure who in Newark uses it, but they run the programs independently. Lewis too, they've run the programs independently. So the resource is available, and it's pretty well maintained and pretty high quality.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Paul, do you know how many events Delta does a year with that bike rodeo?
Boy, you'd have to ask John, but I'd assume it's probably at least somewhere between half a dozen and a dozen. I don't think we do one every month, but sometimes he'll do 2 in a month.
So Paul, John does that, or other people do that?
John primarily does that, yeah. And then he just, whoever's available in our section helps them out. And usually like Safe Kids is a group, if you've heard of them.
So is there a way that we can
they're
expand?
involved.
Is there a way that we can expand this? And Paul, I'm going to reach out to you afterwards, because maybe in an idea, and to kind of continue this, maybe this is an idea that we can expand upon. Can we use it more than 12 times a year?
Hey, yeah, I think that'd be fantastic. And especially with your connections with the schools.
Right.
I think part of it is getting the schools to buy into it. A lot of times they do it as part of like their safety day. Right. So we've done a couple of them where we go to the Kent County Fire School, where they go and like put a bunch of burning hay in the building. And part of the program is a bicycle checkpoint or bicycle rodeo. But I think if that became something that a lot of schools did, the best case is that they know how to run the program themselves. But I don't think John minds sending, going down and taking 1 or 2 people along.
Okay,
They're
so
fun. They're a good time. I honestly miss doing them.
see, this is a program that I'm not going to say is underutilized, but again, I think this council through discussion can help expand this program.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unknown.
and
It's not branded. There's no branding to it really. It's just a bicycle rodeo.
So
like, what does that mean? It's fun, but
yeah, there's not enough staff. Yeah, Delta doesn't have the staff to do it. I mean, if you think of how many elementary schools there are across the state, and if John's only doing 1, maybe 2 a month, he's clearly not hitting every school every year, like every 2nd grade, every 3rd grade.
So but if you could come up with a curriculum.
And so one of my questions is, would there be a dedicated instructor? And it looks like we have a very limited part-time one. I mean, he's a full-time employee, but it's a very, very small part of his job.
Yes.
Yeah, if it becomes a real priority of the department, I mean, we've gotten casual seasonals to come on for parts of the year to do things that are, I think, less significant and impactful than that. So if you make a good case for it, Again, John's the guy I talk to. He manages these, he sets them up. I just kind of hear the chatter next to him in the cubicle.
Somebody mentioned about developing a curriculum that could come from our PE person at the Department of Ed. I spoke to her about it and she was kind of excited, about the idea, and she has contacts with every school, every PE teacher in the state. So I'm going to develop a curriculum.
Well, yeah, if you developed a curriculum and you could supply the trailer, it's almost as if, could you get the gym teachers to just schedule the trailer? They could run the curriculum themselves, do like a train the trainer kind of thing with the gym teachers. If you had something set up, they could do it. They would just need the bicycles as their supplies.
Right.
For
and if you've ever been in schools, you know that PE closets are very small.
Yes.
So if we had one or two like if this took off and we had a second trailer, and you could take this around the school year, through the school year, and then that could be something very good. So I think this is very helpful.
Here's how you pitch it. You pitch it that second trailer will also be at DelDOT and that we can use it for other purposes when it's not explicitly being used by the schools. Because John and I have frequently had to do musical trailers to get all of the stuff out of one to do something else. So even just from our selfish programmatic needs. Hey, we wouldn't mind one. But yeah, definitely talk to John about this. He'd be all in, I think. Especially like you saying, having a thing, Fiore.
Oh, okay.
It's a John Fiore that's running. Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, especially if you can do the train the trainer thing like Wendy's saying, and just have a program that they can plug and play in, because we do that in Newark and it works really well, I think.
Well, and again, knowing that these resources are out there, I think just having this discussion instead of we tried to, Scott, can I let the secret out of the back? We're trying to pitch two ideas, one which would be very feasible that maybe an organization that's really close to us might be able to have $1,000 or $2,000 possibly fund. But the other one was to have more of I'm not going to say more of an expanded idea that would cost a lot more. We're not looking at a lot of costs here. This is a 1 to 3 years away idea that with just a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of work could be pitched statewide. And again, with the people who are in place, it's about connecting the dots.
Yeah, and sometimes at the end of a fiscal year too, we have money that we got to spend. So if this is something that you really think, if you and John come up with a strategy that it could scale up and it would work really well, maybe this or next year, because our budget's going to be increasing next year, for stuff of this like. I know we probably don't want to spend a lot of hours. Like it would be nice if money could come from also, maybe some cost sharing with the Department of Education or some of the school districts.
Well,
it's something that we could probably find some change for.
My job is to find other people other funds besides the Department of Education. But that being said, we could look into it, but also we could look for sponsorship. I'm really good at sponsorship sometimes, and there might be other agencies out there.
Well, Shebra's on one, the Department of Health.
Yeah, and Jackie's on too. I don't know. The good thing is we could develop a solid idea out here. Is there anyone out here who says, hey, or is there anyone else that's, hey, this is really good, let's keep going with it? What do we got?
Yeah. This was way more than we thought it was going to turn into, Mike.
Yvette, what do you think?
She's muted.
I know.
I think you could really scale this up quickly if you get more, because I guess I think one of the bigger problems is obscurity. Like this program isn't really well known. There's recurring people in certain schools that love them.
Right.
And I think it's part of Kent County's like Safety Day, like the Safe Kids, that partnership is made. But I doubt any of those schools know that we do this or they offer it, partially because it's not branded very well. I don't think. I think you could have like just make a little pamphlet or a little logo or something, and that goes a long way. Or maybe a name that's a little bit trendier than Bike Rodeo. I don't know.
Todd, Yvette, anybody, Jackie, Wendy?
I definitely, I agree with the comments. I know, Mike, We did the ped bike assessment last year, and it was really like trying to pull some teeth to understand what's out there. You know, I know I'm new to OHS, but you know, I wanted to try to get some of this information out for the ped assessment. So I'm glad it's coming out now. But I think if that trailer can be duplicated and replicated and, you know, expanded to, like I said, not only the schools, which, you know, we keep hearing that the schools are overworked. That's why I kind of said summer camps. You know, the summer camps are always looking for activities for the kids, you know, so, but I definitely think if there's a well thought out proposal, and OHS ever finds out what their FY22 money would be, that it you know, something could be put towards, you know, a project could be submitted to OHS, especially with other funding. You know, if there's, you know, we think it's going to cost $20,000, we get 5 from here, we get 5 from here, we get 5 from, you know, I'm just using that as a suggestion, but
Right.
that's definitely, you know, getting involved with other stakeholders and everybody else, getting a little, you know, I hate to say piece of the pie, but, you know, everybody has a skin in the game, I guess is the better.
Yeah. And again, like I said, one of the discussions we had was it's really tough to insert something new into like into schools. Well, hey, we need to teach this. But when you're talking about making it a part of a lesson in PE, that's much easier adapted that a teacher can say, yeah, if someone will bring me the trailer of bikes and I've been trained by the trainer at a PD day, we do that all the time because the PE teachers have a professional development day. So this could be a session at a professional development day on how to train the trainers. And then, and again, the bike mobile trailer would be dropped off at the school for X number of days, and you know, in a secure area, and then the PE teachers could do their lesson on biking.
Jackie, do you guys get approached by the different summer camp organizations?
As far as I know, we have not had a project proposal from,
Okay.
I don't want to say non-law enforcement, but, you know, at least for my programs, I haven't dealt, which I know with Sarah and Richard, they deal, like, I know Safe Kids. And
Okay.
actually Mike could probably speak more to that than I could, but
Like YMCA is a big one that I thought of.
yeah. So, I mean, they could submit a project proposal. But I don't know how that would work with, I mean, I think maybe if we could work to get another trailer and then go out to these agencies, it might be better.
So
Instead
like,
of,
aren't we thinking that the council will put together the proposal, we'll get the other stakeholders together and try to put the money together, and maybe throw some of our budget in if we get some more budget type thing?
So some next steps is I will type up my notes
Okay.
that I have, and I do have a lot, and there'll be more in bullet points. I'll try and get Saber Collins involved at DOE, who's our PE person. I'll reach out to John to see what the cost of the trailer is, get some pictures of the trailer so that we could put that in there. And then we'll see if we can, you know, after we present, we'll see if we can develop a lesson, you know, and then, you know, some of the other questions I had was, you know, what age or grades level, but, you know, we know who we're talking about, what skills would be taught. I said,
maybe John has some of that stuff
Right,
already,
maybe,
you know,
yes.
so that would be another question for him. Sorry.
Yeah, no, good. And then, you know, we could use this all year. So basically just in this conversation, we've probably addressed all 10 of my questions. I don't know, is there a time running down? How much time have we been in the breakout room?
Got about 1 minute.
See, look at that. The time
There you go.
flies in a breakout room.
I'm sorry, my mic kept going in and out, so I may have missed this, but who handles the trainer? Who gets to do that?
Well, that's a good question. So DELDOT, I mean, I think that would be a multi-agency deal where you would have, you know, if you're talking about training the trainers, with the Department of Ed, that would probably go through the PE department at an in-service day that PE teachers have once a year, like we have a statewide in-service day. If this really catches on, you could also invite other groups like people from the YMCA or people from the Boys and Girls Club and say, hey, we could have a trainer day for, and I'm missing groups. When I say YMCA and Boys and Girls Club, they're not the only entities that would do this. So you could train them for kind of summertime activities or after the high school day after the elementary school day, after the 4 p.m., activities.
Yeah, and it's really, the training is not that challenging. I mean, the first time I did it, I showed up and John told me or Anthony explained what we were doing, and I did it, and there were no issues. It's a series of maybe like 7 or 8 different like standard obstacle courses that you kind of set up in little activities, and you really don't need much planning to do it, right? Like you could just draw simple schematics,
right,
and a 1 to 2 page. This is the activity. This is how you do it. And seeing it one time, I think most people, especially PE teachers, if they know how to blow a whistle, they can do a bike rodeo.
Well, and also this isn't something like this is something that is done in other states. I mean, I saw a teacher from New York who said, well, we actually have the bikes in our school. And I'm like, wow, you have the space in your school to host 30 bikes. I mean, so. Yeah,
the funnest part is making the course beforehand, doing all sorts of goofy traffic markings, and that's like the funnest part.
It doesn't really include any type of road type of instruction. It's just kind of bike riding.
No, I mean, we've done things where it's like, here's what you should do. How to signal. You're going to do a turn, so we teach them how to do signaling and get them a little bit of experience taking a hand off the handlebar. We'll set up little fake stop signs and little fake roads with the yellow striping, and they come up to it. What do they have to do? They have to stop, and then they have to do turns, and then you kind of do it so it's simulating a road context, but it's kind of like in Dollhouse.
Gotcha.
So what's usually the student to teacher ratio? Like you said, there was a couple of you that went?
Yeah, so we'd have like usually 5, I want to say, little stops or exercises. Each one requires 1 person. I think one of them requires 2 people. So you can do it with less. It's however many people you have, right? If you only have 4 people, I think we usually do between 5 to 7 people. And then we can run as many students as you want through it. Like they just keep going, and you have to have a teacher to make sure that they contain the chaos. But
I was going to say, Paul, when you did it though, how many kids were you running through? Was it more?
Oh, we do 30 easy. But that's the thing is if you have someone who's taking the bikes back to the beginning and setting up new people, right? So maybe there's a group at the Kent County thing, there'd be groups of, I think they'd be in like maybe 25 or 30, something like that. And sometimes we wouldn't have enough bikes to run everyone. So everyone sort of gets around a bike, a couple people aside, and we just run them through one at a time. The person who's the first station kind of jockeys their speed, so there's not a huge buildup of people anywhere. And then when they're done at the end, they go back and they put their bikes back, and then another kid grabs that bike. So you can have like an infinite flow of kids basically. Once the 5 people are there.
Oh, sorry. And about how long would you say for 30 kids does it take to go through all the
25 minutes maybe?
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, the instructions, like we do an instruction typically. So that's what Anthony's good at. Anthony's good at getting up and doing the speech to everyone, tell them about what just engaging them, talk about biking if they bike on the road, and then talking a little about the rules of the road, and then that kind of stuff.
Oh, how do you think...
that's where it's nice to have a Delvac guy there, but anyone can do that.
What was that? The urban bike? What was that first one?
Urban Bike Project.
Okay, I'm just trying to review my notes. Okay.
Oh, there's
awesome. One in Newark too.
Love Laura. Newark Bike Project. Yeah. I've worked with Newark Bike Project on things like this before. At Newark Community Day, I ran one literally with like chalk and a few 2x4s. And we made a pretty sweet course. So.
Well, great feedback, Scott. I don't know. How do you feel about how this went?
I thought it was awesome. Because we were thinking that this idea wouldn't get any traction, and here it is. So people are already doing it. So
right. And it's something I think we can promote and enhance.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it goes to what Paul said. It's not currently being promoted at all. You know, there's no, like, you can't go to the Del.Dot website and go, oh, can I sign up for the bike rodeo and bring them to my school? Like, there's.
And also how many people are searching the Del.Dot website for that particular thing too, you know, so.
Did.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out the project manager is to yell at about the broken intersection. That's what I do. I tell my friends to do that. Sorry.
So good. Well, I will type up my notes and I could give a brief synopsis when we get back, but usually there's a time limit that starts counting down.
Yeah.
Are we over 20 minutes or not?
Yeah, we are.
And with it,
I'm going to go ahead and put us back in the,
Okay.
the main session. So if you'll just bear with me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, Karen, were you just here for just to listen in, or did you need to address the council on anything?
I was just listening in.
Okay.
I do have a quick question for you though.
Okay.
On the pathways on Route 1, I know it's not necessarily a bike route, but where some of the sidewalks are, just because you guys have so many connections with Del.Dot, is there a way to clean up some of the trees and brush that's grown over in different areas?
Well, there's two ways of doing it. You can either go to the Del.Dot website and do a report of condition. You can go to del.dot.gov. I would do that first, and then follow up with me. You can send me a separate email saying, hey, on this date I sent the report a condition, and then I'll follow up myself with South District, because sometimes I don't know if they get those requests or not, or if they do get them, I don't know how quick they get to them. So not saying that I can help, but sometimes if I put a bug in their ear, they're really good on helping me out. So
Okay. And
but I would do the report to condition first. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have your email, don't I? Haven't I gotten
You
an email
should.
from you?
Yeah, I can just spell it out. It's
Yeah, go ahead.
be JOHN dot FIORI at Delaware.gov.
I have a new computer, so I just want to make sure it pops up on here.
Okay.
And then on that same note, I'm still looking for some way to see if we can't get the bicycle path from the Wawa by the Park and Ride up to Country Club Road. It's a very small section. I just don't know how to get that done. I thought I had started something a while back, but is that the same thing I would do there, is once again report a condition?
Let's see. No, let's see, by the Wawa to Country Club Road.
So yeah, so the idea, and actually I'm not sure what road that's actually listed at, but it's actually where the Rehoboth Park and Ride sits.
Yes. I forgot about that Wawa. I'm thinking of another Wawa. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of them now.
Yeah.
But right where Jungle Gyms is.
Yes.
Okay. So up to Jungle Gyms, you actually have a path. And then right at the corner of Jungle Gyms, you have no bicycle path.
Okay.
And so there's nowhere on the road for a bicycle to go.
Okay.
So you're actually riding in the lane. And the side that it would make sense on and continue, and I understand it's all private property, is actually the side where the Park and Ride is.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and I've tried to ask, but I don't know how to go about, because wouldn't that, if Park and Ride is there, wouldn't that mean it's state property?
Yeah, that's state property.
And
so-
across the street is a sidewalk.
Yes. Yeah, but because that development put one in.
Yes, it's sidewalk, but not a place for bicycles, so it all of a sudden just stops, and it stops right at the Park and Ride. You can, and it just need to get up to the stop sign. So
There's a couple, this would be almost like it would be a project, and the way to initiate those type of projects is you have a couple ways of doing it. You can reach out to your legislator.
okay, so like Pete or Ernie or
Pete or Ernie, and they could, it's a small section, and now I don't know what what would need to be involved, but they could request, if they wanted to, DelDOT to look at it to see what would be involved in getting that done. We could then evaluate it, but it would still have to go through our standard prioritization process to see if it ever could get funding, or Pete or Ernie could just fund the project themselves with their CTF money, depending on the cost, obviously. So I would reach out to them, both of them, and explain what your idea is, and see what they're able to do.
Okay. All right. I hadn't thought about going that route. It's just, it's such an easy fix, and I actually take that route myself.
Yeah, in some cases, depending on what needs to be done to address it, it could be just as easy as they just throw in some of their CTF funds and they work directly with the district. If it's going to be more detailed, then that's when they would reach out to us in planning to create plans and specifications and get the project advertised. I just don't know what level that's going to be. So they would first reach out to DelDOT, and DelDOT would go out and look at it and say, oh yeah, it would cost X number of money. If it's low enough, if they wanted to, they could just fund it themselves and work through the district to get it done.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't think about going that route, so thank you. I've tried to address it different platforms, and I don't know why I can't get it done. Okay. And it just seems, I understand that, there's so many different communities and ownership of that property there, but that seems to me that that's actually state of Delaware property. So,
yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay. I think everyone's back.
Okay. So I'll let Mike do a quick thing, but our discussion was really good. We definitely want to talk about our discussion at the next meeting, right, Mike?
Yes, all I want to say is we had a really good discussion. There's more resources out there. This idea is actually being done a little bit, like 6 to 12 times a year, but we have a base to really expand this. So I'll just to say that it was a positive discussion, a lot of interaction, and I'll tape up my notes and we'll recap and we'll add to this when I do some more research for our January meeting.
February.
I'm so excited. I want to meet in January. I'll wait till February.
It's easy to remember. It's on 2/2/22.
How about the other group? How'd you guys make out?
No consensus. We talked about a short 1-minute video. We talked about a longer 30-minute video that maybe could be tied into some sort of thing that people watch it and they get reduced price on their insurance. And we talked about a bicycle education module, folded into driver education with some funding to incentivize that the module gets done. And then, just to add more confusion, we talked about a video about sort of bicycling in Delaware. We have these trails that maybe you don't know about, and you could bike in the parks, and just Delaware bicycling video.
Okay.
I think that's good stuff.
But it's 4 different ideas, and there didn't seem to be any going in one direction more than another.
So what do you guys think? Should we just kind of present a summary of both things next time, and then we can maybe see what people think about which idea we want to get behind?
I think maybe we do a summary, and then I think that Scott, you, me, and James should meet and kind of see where we're at after we get our summaries done, and then we can decide what to do the next meeting.
Okay. All right then. Thanks everybody for participating in that. Our thing was pretty cool. So We're at 6:59, so
Move to adjourn.
Second.
okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good holiday, and I'll see you in February.
See you in 2020.
Take care, all.
All right.
Take
see
care,
ya.
guys.